Hey, if you're over watching on my channel, Jimmy Snow, this is a podcast very, very similar to what you might have enjoyed if you ever watched Jimmy Snow as a podcast, which, by the way, is returning soon and is going to annoy people because I'm going to do that thing you're not supposed to do. I'm going to platform people I disagree with. But listen, check out the links in the description to subscribe to The Line Has a Podcast, which is kind of taking over that format we were doing before. And find this show, The Line Has a Podcast, over on his YouTube channel, because most of the episodes aren't going on this one. You're going to want to do that. Go and listen there and subscribe, please. We need to eventually get paid to do this or we can't keep doing it. That's what it comes down to. Welcome to The Line Has a Podcast. I'm Jimmy Snow. They forgot that they're supposed to introduce themselves right
Alyssa.
after. Alyssa who?
Alyssa Ljub. And I'm Promise Backlund.
We will have it down by episode 300.
It's going to be amazing. It'll be amazing when we do that.
It is Friday, January 24th, and we actually have a lot to talk about, so we're going to get into it. Did not mean to loop that. We did it last time too, so there's lots of things that we're just off with.
We're working on it.
Let's let it finish its fade out, though. It feels weird to have interrupted it. And don't you worry, we're going to be talking about that salute from Elon Musk. A warning, at least one of us on the panel here is autistic, so we may just accidentally be hiling some ancient fascists, historical. It just happens because it's an autistic thing. It could happen. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce a new segment where we would like you all to engage. We'll probably be talking about your answers on future episodes, and we're going to give a little bit of our own brief opinions here. We want to see where people disagree. Today's question of the day, for being the first one, is bad because it's not one. I thought of two and I was like, I can't give up either. The first question of the day, we've been discussing a lot because the left lost. It lost the last election and it wasn't a subtle loss. It wasn't small. It was a decent sized loss. And so we're trying to think about what went wrong and what is so unpleasant about being a part of the left that nobody wants to do it. No one does. So the question of the day, question 1A, is the left obsessed with perfection? And are we destroying ourselves by demanding perfection? Would either of the two of you like to briefly, we'll keep it brief so we can have the longer conversation after other people weigh in. But what points of views would either of you like to present?
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I think I just saw earlier today, AOC said, I did see this. AOC was talking about how we are going to have to get good at community and good at repair, where you can come to somebody and say like, hey, this thing bothered me. Let's talk it out, instead of like, I'm done with you. You're canceled. You're out of here. You know, it's dogmatic. And so I fully agree with that take. We have to be better at that, or else we're not going to go anywhere. That's my little short thing. Yeah. And I say that as somebody who is pretty sensitive to stuff. I'm not sensitive to hearing stuff about myself. I don't give a shit. I hear the worst things all the time. I'm not. From
your friends, though. I feel like you and I both do this to each other where we think the other one's about to say you're disappointed. And like I
don't ever want somebody that I love to tell me they're disappointed in me. That's like the worst thing that could happen. If you could have seen the other side when, I'm not going to bring up what it was, but you were messaging something that you wanted to change that you didn't like very much. And I was over here just like, our relationship's over. It's done. I thought that the other way. Anyways, that's hilarious. We both have done that to each other a million times, but no, I don't mean about that. I mean, as far as people call me names, people criticize every single thing about every way that I look and all my biggest insecurities every day online. I don't care. And people that I know even have said hurtful, rude things. I don't care about that. It's the few relationships that I hold close that obviously then I care. But I like to seek repair in those things. That's why you and I have talked through different things. This sounds like we've had we've never had anything, but you get what I'm saying.
She doesn't like that I don't present masculinely enough. And she was saying
that's
like,
exactly
you're kind of too gay.
That's exactly what it was.
That was the criticism.
For the record, that's not what it was, in case I have to say that. But
I love that we have to correct it for this reason, that we are so policing perfection that that somebody out there will take me seriously. And yeah.
I think my sensitivity comes towards other people. And that's just how I am that's just my personality. If I hear somebody say something that I think might hurt somebody else's feelings, my empathy just goes out instantly. I am that person that just like, that's what upsets me. And I don't hate that about myself. But I also agree that in general, we're going to have to get better at the repair part and the like having grown up conversations about things instead of this policing thing, this puritanical. I mean, it's the exact same thing I grew up in evangelicalism. It's dogma. And it is just basically, instead of damning people to hell, we're just canceling them. To me, those are so
kind of damning
similar.
them to hell on earth, honestly.
Right, which is worse because it's actually real.
It's very unpleasant.
Here's
thank you for keeping that short.
Sorry.
I'm the biggest hypocrite in the fucking world, and that's why it was so funny.
The whole time I was talking, I was like, oh God, I'm going way too long. So thank you for reassuring me.
Alyssa, do you need a refresher on what the question was? It was some time ago.
I have it. I do. Okay. I don't really have that much like different to add. I do agree. I think that the left is obsessed with perfection and also obsessed with things being exactly how they see it. Like there's just not a lot of like flexibility sometimes in the conversations that we have. And I think that that's all like I feel like it's very hard for people to take a step back and be like, actually considering someone else's perspective, because we are immediately assuming that if it's not ours, it's like wrong and bad. And like a lot of times that's kind of the truth, but people deserve to like also be heard. So I don't know. I just think there's in general, we as a society need to get better at, like AOC said, community and taking care of each other, which means also listening to each other. And we are not really good at that right now.
I agree. I'll keep mine very, very brief. The thing that I'm worried about the most, I agree. I think we are doing it. And I think I want to talk about it more in depth when we see what other people's responses were. Unfortunately, I think you'll have to be on YouTube or Patreon and Spotify. I don't know if the other podcast locations will let you leave comments, but in the future, you'll also be able to leave voicemails. I just haven't finished getting it set up. Got it started. But it's the hard part is the thing that I'm honestly the most worried about is what about the people who we see this because we deal with people leaving religion all the time. What about the people who are only just beginning to de-radicalize from their poor position and maybe hopefully radicalizing toward our good one? You don't have to use that word for it, but people are going to be at various stages of their and it's so easy to intercept them and be like, oh, you finally are here and hearing us out. And, maybe you changed your mind on healthcare. Okay, but now the whole group is going to turn against you because the day you finally started coming our way, you didn't come all the way our way. Right. You've shown actually that you're willing to listen and hear it out and potentially change, but we're telling you, no, you're still too far gone. You're hopeless and you should be homeless too. I have a problem with that. With part B, I guess let's actually not do the longer discussion. I just want to hear the yeses and the nos, and then let's do the longer discussion on the next episode when people give theirs, especially because it'll annoy people and they'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe Jimmy's a yes or a no based on what reasoning? I want to know, do the two of you believe that we should, like so many of us did with Twitter, now called, I'm trying to remember what it's called, Zig Heist or something, ZigX. Should we abandon meta products now that Zuckerberg has seemed to pivot to the right, or at least right up to Donald Trump's butthole? I am going to say no. Does anybody want to give theirs?
I second that, but I also say that as somebody still on X.
Yeah. Well, okay. Alyssa, you actually have credibility. What's your answer? I'm just kidding.
You guys hate me on this episode.
Oh my God. I love you so much.
I love you both.
Should we? Maybe. Will we? Absolutely not.
And so I guess I'll amend my answer to say, no, we actually should not. I think it's a bad idea, but I'm not going to give the reasoning, and I want to hear people. I want to see people respond. Oh, well, we can talk about it after the show anytime.
Yeah, I want to know.
Actually, if you look at the outline, I gave all of my reasons are in the outline. You can just read them.
I'm looking at it, but I want to stay engaged with also what you're saying. But
I get it. Anyway, those are the questions of the day. So we want to hear from you on, is the left's obsession with perfection preventing actual progress? Is the perfect being the enemy of the good is essentially the question at hand. And should we abandon meta products like Instagram, Threads, Facebook, because of Zuckerberg's pivot to the right. There's a lot of good reasons to abandon them, by the way, specifically, though, for this apparent desire they have to be accepted by Donald Trump. And those are the questions of the day. We should have a special sound for that, but we don't. Let's see.
I know a guy.
That one doesn't work, but we'll use that one.
What if we have a good like one of those? Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe in the future. Okay. I think people hate the actual air horn.
I hate it so much. So thanks for
I think we'd lose a lot of people.
You would lose me. I would log off right now.
I think so. A couple of quick topics before we hit to the break. Let's talk about what everybody's talking about. Was it an intentional Zig Heil? Was the Elon Musk at the inauguration parade, weird lunch thing they did instead of the parade, did a very distinguished sign where he put his hand on his heart and then rapidly threw his hand up in the air in a way that you might see if you freeze frame somebody waving to Hitler. Anyway, it wasn't a wave. It was a straight out. Then he turned around and he did it again. Do you think it was intentional? Do you think it wasn't intentional? What's the opinion on the panel here?
I don't think we can know because I don't think we can read his mind, but I don't think it matters at all. I don't care. I don't care if he meant anything by it or not, because that's not going to impact anything. I think it's bad news either way.
I think he's delighted that it was taken that way, whether it was true on purpose or not, because he loves to troll. And I think that is shown how by today, where he showed a bunch of photos of like Taylor Swift, who is mid-wave, a still photo of her mid-wave, so it looks like she's doing the same salute when it wasn't similar to that. Just play all the videos.
We watched a video.
Right. Play the videos themselves. By the way, you want to know who's really convinced that it was a Zig Heil? A very definite Zig Heil?
Fucking Nazis.
Nazis. Not only the Nazis, all of these people on the right who are saying it wasn't a Zig Heil, it was a Roman salute. You know, the same thing. The same
exact thing.
It's a Roman salute. And it wasn't a cake. It was a sugary confectionery item. It's the same thing, I think, because I think that's what confectionery items are. I don't bake so much. Anyway, it to me, just seeing that and then see it immediately defended. And the thing that I think is now going to be the case is they're going to try to ironically bring it back. I think we're about to start to see it a lot.
Everybody's posting it on TikTok now. I've seen it so many times. That's why I don't care what he meant. Who cares? He certainly didn't issue an apology after. So, you know, and that's what a normal person that maybe like had made a mistake like that, whatever he wants to call it, would say, shit, that totally looked like that. I'm super embarrassed that Nazis think I gave that signal. Let me make it clear that's not what I was doing. You would want to clarify that. And the fact that hasn't been. I would have
accepted it too.
Right.
If he had come and said, as soon as I did it, I felt what it looked like and I thought I could save it. And then I did it a second time and was like, nope, that's still what it looks like. So that's why I go to the mic and say, my heart goes out to you.
Yeah.
And look, now after the fact, clearly it's confusing. That's not what I meant. I genuinely meant to throw my heart out to them. And I realize what it looks like. That looks bad. And by the way, for anybody who's a Holocaust survivor or family of who saw that and was terrified, I hate that. I hate that it felt that way. Truly, it was an accident. I'm sorry. And like, seriously, it would have, I just own it. Just own that is clearly what it looked like. Just be able to go and say, look, it's not a familiar thing I do. So in the moment it came out and then I was like, oh shit. But in the moment I was too like hyped up and thought I didn't want to address it or hope that it didn't look quite so bad. I don't know. I don't know exactly how you put it, but if you just owned it and was like, but in seeing the video, you know who actually did this well once? Joe Rogan. And I don't have lots of good things to say about Joe Rogan, but Joe Rogan did an apology. But it wasn't like I feel horrible. It wasn't like I'm prostrating myself the way that people perceive the left is demanding you do. But for basically saying the N-word a whole bunch on his podcast, he apologized because he was like, look, in context and what I understood at that time, I felt that those weren't okay. But then somebody were okay. But then somebody makes this compilation where you just see me saying it over and over and over again. And I didn't even realize how many times I had said it. And I saw it and it made me sick. So I wish I hadn't done that. I don't use the words now. And I'm sitting here going like, of all the things I think Joe Rogan sucks for, the N-word isn't one now, because that seems like an honest reflection. Like,
yeah,
it's not hard.
In general, people like, we can't determine what the intention was, but we can kind of figure out what the intention was based on how it was handled afterwards. Like, even if the intention was not actually to have it be a Nazi salute, he didn't care that that's how it came off. And that's all I needed to know. That's all I need to know. He's
dishonestly defending it with the Taylor Swift stills.
Right, exactly. You're making a mockery of a situation where millions of people died. So like, what are we, I'm confused. Like, why would you joke about that? Like, that's not funny. And it's like, it's so indisputably not funny. So I'm confused.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, the thing I'm annoyed about most though, is that that's what everybody's talking about now. And maybe that's just what I'm hearing and seeing, but I feel like all of these executive orders passed and people are talking significantly less about those and more like, this is going to happen every week the next 4 years. We're going to have this kind of crazy clown circus shit. Like, when you vote in a circus, you're going to get all these entertainers doing dumb shit. And so I want us to not get distracted by that. I mean, I think we still have to mention that. I'm not saying like, oh, just ignore. I don't think that's the solution at all. It's just going to be interesting to figure out how we call shit out for what it is. And then also don't lose track of real things that are happening too.
Yeah. I also think Republicans actually know that it's like the ones who are putting up lots of photos of people waving, the fact that they are doing stills versus the video. I think that's telling that they know that they're wrong, that they are being so dishonest, even as they claim so much stuff is dishonest against them. It's one of those things like when you get out of religion, you start to realize that you used to defend things. In the moment, you felt so righteous about it that even though you knew you were lying a lot when you were defending your religion before, you felt justified. So you didn't even think about it. You're like, it couldn't really be a true lie because I'm feeling the Holy Ghost right now. And I think they have a lot of that where they're like, I feel so supportive and justified in this that it's not really lying because this now can be the thing we distract with. And it's really annoying, really unpleasant. And it's just the fact that they're even pretending. He also put, I was looking it up. He also put up a video of Emmanuel Macron doing something where he like kind of puts his hand on his heart and then he waves to the crowd. And I get it like that, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the violence of the gesture, which even like now I'm like being sure to, as I'm illustrating things, to not illustrate the literal specific one he did.
That's what freaked me out more than anything was like how aggressive it was too. Not that freaked me out more than anything. Actually, the whole thing was terrifying, but that was especially unnerving to see how like passionate it was. It was like just not. I'm shocked and floored by people who are watching that and saying he was just waving.
You can actually hear him grunt.
Yes.
I don't know if you. Yeah, he goes.
It's crazy.
If you do pause on his face, I noticed he actually looks like one of the angry Nazis from Inglourious Bastards as he's like got the but that's neither here nor there. I'm open to the idea that legitimately in the moment he was trying to do something else and he came out as a Sig Heil. Like that something like that could happen. I'm not using this dumb argument of that's because he's autistic. I'm autistic as fuck. And I rarely accidentally join genocides. No, I don't at all. I did post on, I don't know if you saw my post on Threads yesterday, which is the sort of thing you say as you're pulling it up to kill time. But it was something along the lines of, I just sorted, let me find it. I accidentally sorted my Pokemon cards in the order I would genocide their species. I don't know. Must just be because I'm autistic. You don't accidentally Sig Heil for being autistic. Oh my God.
And it's not like, that's a really funny tweet though, or thread.
Even if he is doing some version of stimming, he got so overwhelmed he does some violent act and that's what it came out with. he would have been aware after he did it, like, oh shit, that's what I just did. Just own it and admit that. I would have actually believed the narrative that it was an accident. Right now, I'm leaning more toward he knew going in he was going to do it because he loves to be talked about the most, which means on Inauguration Day, his coverage is the thing covered the most instead of this fucking crazy guy. His is the one covered the most. And he knew going into it that he was going to defend it as a my heart goes out to you thing, as a troll. I doubt he's an actual like genocidal, wants to kill all the Jews, like fascist. I doubt he's that specific thing. I hope he's not. Maybe I'm giving
like,
too much.
Why would we even take the risk? Why would we even take the fucking risk?
If we're going to get into my radical thoughts about billionaires, Elon, how we should handle billionaires, there's a lot of risk we shouldn't be taking with any of them. But, for another day and a platform that
before we get to
allows
talking about the TikTok ban, can I mention some breaking news from the last hour?
You mean yesterday? From an hour ago? Yes, from an hour on yesterday. Because today's Friday.
That's what I mean. From Thursday evening. So sorry. I'm clearly still waking up. So Republican Congressman Andy Ogles from Tennessee has drafted a constitutional amendment aimed at allowing Donald Trump to be president for a third term.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff was going to happen. It's not going to pass. It'd have to be ratified by 2/3 of the states.
But it's just crazy that it's all like, I feel like that's what we're going to be dealing with every fucking week.
Imagine if they pass it, though. Imagine if they pass it and maybe he's going to make it specific for Donald Trump. But if they passed it, I almost would be here for it.
Why?
Because that means Obama gets to run against him.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine an Obama versus Trump? Trump is not beating Obama. No one's beating. Look, I'm not even pro-Obama. He's a war criminal. And he at best, like he did advance health. Medicare for all is my number one issue, period. Like all I care about, I will take a very imperfect person if they'll run on Medicare for all. And if he did that, fine. I shouldn't say period. Also, you can't be genociding, but Obama did some genociding. Obama's just like the coolest guy. Like, not just for president, he's just generally cool. He's the kind of guy that you feel like would just like hype you up for anything. He'd be like, you cook the hell out of eggs, man. And you'd just be like, oh, fucking, I feel amazing.
Yeah, he's the opposite of Trump.
He's so monogamous, despite the fact that he could have anybody, gay, straight, man, woman, doesn't matter. He could just have them all. He could seduce Trump. In fact, we all saw Trump's puppy eyes at him at the funeral. Trump was getting wet for Obama at a funeral. Let's be clear. Actually, Trump was getting wet for other problems, and that's age related, so we won't shame him for it.
Oh my God. Jesus.
I said we won't shame him for it. The farts that he's letting out, though, we'll shame him for. Anyway, these are very quick before we go to the break, but we are going to be talking when we come back, the executive orders. We'll give you a brief rundown on the crazy ones he has put out so far, some other actions he's taken. Also, we want to talk about the pardons, the January 6 pardons that were given out. And we've got some other things coming up, including in our final segment. We're going to be talking about boobs. Boobs is on the show today because boobs made the news. We'll actually be returning to the inauguration to talk about boobs. That might have been giving it away, but that'll be before we go, though, just a quick update to the TikTok ban. You're both allowed to add whatever you want to it. Trump has delayed it with an executive order by 75 days. It was a thing that he was allowed to do, a provision in the law. So maybe it didn't need an executive order. And he has proposed that it's going to be a joint venture, though that has been ill-defined, but between America and China. What it sounds like he means is billionaires in America, not America is going to own a part of it. American billionaires like Elon Musk, who he's an American billionaire, totally not also owned by foreign entities like the Saudi Arabians and others who have funded the Twitter venture, and he is now beholden to. That's all cool. And while the service is back up and you can access and watch stuff, you actually cannot presently get it off of the Apple or Google store. You cannot even, there won't be updates or anything like that until a new law has been made clearly, because while Trump has done this delay thing, they're still beholden to the actual law and could potentially be prosecuted by a future administration who wasn't okay with not enforcing that law. So that anything you all want to add before we run to break?
I think you got it.
Yeah.
Word.
I guess my last thing is
no, keep going.
If they sell it to even half, or even a fourth to an American venture, the whole app is ruined and you should just get rid of it at that point. It's gonna suck. That's my opinion.
The algorithm is what anybody liked, and the algorithm's already begun to suck. So
yeah,
it's gonna get worse. I think it's gonna get worse.
This episode is brought to you by the amazing people on patreon.com/calltheline, where you can get the show ad-free and you get the extended episodes where we do bonus shows, which is most of the time. Head over to patreon.com/calltheline and sign up today.
Would you like to be one of the cool people who can...
All right, we are back and we're going to talk about more Trump stuff. I promise that this isn't always going to be Trump stuff, but it's going to be a lot Trump stuff, or at least right-wing stuff, because this is sort of a podcast to tell you what's going on and I suppose how we mean to oppose it. But Donald Trump has signed a number of executive orders starting on his first day. Now, some of these have little to no actual enforceability. They are for show, or to say like, we've begun the process of filling. It's kind of like he's doing empty gestures because that's what he's great at. Empty gestures is his MO, but also now he can say, I made the promise to do this and then I did it, but he didn't. He didn't actually do anything that's enforceable or actionable. So, for example, one of those things being that he has issued an executive order to try and end birthright citizenship, that if you are born in America, now you must have at least one citizen parent to automatically be a citizen of America, which is wild because one of the reasons we have that is if you don't have that, then you just aren't a citizen? It's a D of anywhere. You're dehumanized, essentially. You don't belong to any nation. You're not a citizen of any specific place. Some places have if your parent's a citizen, I think England, I think I can go and get citizenship because my parent was a citizen. But a lot of places don't. And it's a weird thing to try and take back. However, this is in the 14th Amendment. You already had a federal judge today put a stop to it, and we will see if that gets upheld when it gets to the Supreme Court. And I oddly think the Supreme Court in this case will probably uphold it because I do think you have some constitutional purists on there, and that it might even be more than 5-4. I think you will have on the Republican side Roberts, and I think you'll have Amy Coney Barrett actually say no. The 14th Amendment makes it pretty clear. But I actually think you might even get Kavanaugh and Gorsuch. Weirdly, I think it's the two Republicans who weren't put in there by Trump that may side with Trump on this, though I would say Kavanaugh I feel more wishy-washy about.
Right.
Any quick thoughts on that before we read out some of these other ones?
No, I'm prepared to be depressed by more.
I know, me too.
He's reinstated the very cruel Remain in Mexico program. It was not a thing that was working. But by the way, illegal immigration was already going down and was actually lower than much of the levels during the Trump administration here when he took office. So it was also an unnecessary thing, really just a way you would try to signal that you don't like brown people. Another way you can do that, but you can add in that you don't like women and queers, is by his third executive order, where he rolled back initiatives for DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, basically saying hey, let's make an effort to make sure we're not avoiding including those people in the workplace, because unlike popular opinion from the right on this, quotas have not existed for decades. Literally for decades. This thing where people are like, yeah, they have a quota, they have to have this many. And the stories that they make up that, I literally heard a person say this to somebody next to me in a debate room in VR. My brother, my sister worked at a place where they said you have to fire the whole staff because they're all white. And it was about a dozen of them, and hire Mexicans in their place. And she had to go and do it, had no choice because of the DI. None of those things are real.
Crazy.
Shout out to Costco for deciding not to go along with that.
Mm-hmm. Also redefine legal gender recognition, saying basically there's only males and females. I've been hearing things too about the terminology of it has to do with conception. I would have to look into it, but if it's true that you are the gender from when you were conceived,
we're all women.
Everybody's a woman, including myself, because you don't become a male if you are in the womb. You don't become a male until later in your embryological development.
Yeah,
so
it's at
that was weird.
6 weeks. We all start with what ends up being like it's a girl genitalia until 6 weeks, and then it starts to split into.
Yeah, it's why I have nipples and they drive me insane. And then he did pardon all capital 6 rioters, with the exception of he commuted the sentences of, I think it was 14 others. So basically, even the most violent criminals, even the ones who were serving life sentences, like the leaders of the Proud Boys, they received a commutation of their sentences, while almost the remaining 1,600 or so received actual pardons, as well as pardons that would cover if they were going to be bringing it against other people.
Can I ask a question?
And that insurrection, just totally cool and fine. Go ahead, Alyssa.
What is a commutation?
Basically, it means that we're not saying that you get out of prison. You don't have to serve the remainder of your sentence. But I believe it means that you still are disqualified from doing things that felons aren't allowed to do. Like you can't buy guns and things like that. But the QAnon shaman got a pardon, and literally in his tweet was like, just found out I got a pardon. Fuck yeah, I'm going to go buy some guns. Literally the tweet.
Yeah, I saw that. Did you guys hear about Pam Hemphill?
No.
Okay, this is amazing. She's this 71-year-old woman.
Oh, yes, I did.
Who was part of this, and she denied her pardon. She's refusing to accept it because she says she went to therapy and figured out that she was the problem on January 6th. And that she's changed her mind, and she wants to be an example of people that can change their mind and realize that her mental health was not where it needed to be, and it made her go down a conspiratorial path, and that she does not believe the election was stolen anymore. You know, all this stuff. She believes Donald Trump was lying. It was just really cool to hear somebody in the midst of all of this that used that moment to be like, hey, what you saw, you really did see. I was there and it was wrong. Yeah. And I won't accept this pardon. So
that is nice.
Her therapist deserves a Nobel Peace Award.
And yet Trump might get one. That's the weird thing. There's talks that he's going to be put up for, and potentially as like a big political move, they might say his involvement in the treaty for now, the good news is that thing's not going to hold, and under Trump is definitely, but that isn't good news. We definitely want there to be a ceasefire in Gaza, which is what I'm talking about. But the good news to him not getting the Nobel Prize is there's no way that thing's going to hold. Anyway, he also withdrew us from the Paris Climate Accord. This is the guy who is constantly on air saying things when a brand new super hurricane hits or something. We've never seen storms like these, And now he's back to the way people are profiting. We're going to drill, baby, drill. They are going straight for it. They are going to make sure that the Earth turns into another little sun, or at least another little Venus. Anyway. Also established the Department of Government Efficiency, which is Elon Musk's stupid new department where they're supposedly going to make all kinds of cuts. Their first cut was apparently Vivek Ramaswamy because he was clearly fired. He is trying to pretend that he left even though earlier that day he signaled things about the department before he left that he was excited to do. And then, actually, I'm leaving to run for governor in 2 years. I'm going to leave to run for governor of Ohio. So that's why I have to leave Doge, because of the Ohio governor run in 2 years. And he was fired.
The lead lawyer left too, to go back to private practice.
Yeah, Elon doesn't like them. That's what it comes out to. And we already knew that Elon didn't like Vivek. And also everyone knew that was coming. You can't have this many narcissists in a room together. They're going to fight. They're going to fight over it. That's why at the line, this podcast, we only have me, the one narcissist. Just one narcissist is the most. People are going to diagnose me that way anyway. I'm trusting the comments of all the people saying I'm a narcissist.
I was going to say, that's your first mistake.
I know. I have. Well, who else am I going to trust? My therapist, who, when I was super concerned about it, evaluated me for it and was like, "You definitely aren't." I'm not going to trust her. I'm going to trust Bob. Bob 69420 in the comments. Fucking narcissist. Anyway, deploying the troops at the southern border. He also is sending troops to the U.S.-Mexico border, and it is just a matter of time before that fucking blows up in all of our faces too. And we are in a somewhat violent altercation at the border of Mexico. Not an executive order. He also terminated John Bolton's Secret Service detail, which I think is a good way of him on day one to broadcast that what he is most hoping for people who disagree with him, who have made him look shitty or stupid or incompetent. And I hate John Bolton, but John Bolton did all those things to him. John Bolton lives every day under real threats of an assassination by Iran. And he took away the Secret Service detail because he hopes he dies.
Which is hilarious because in his inauguration speech, he went on and on about how one of the big things he's going to do is make sure that no elected official has to, go through what he did with the assassination attempts and that we're going to provide protection. I don't remember his exact verbiage, but that was his implication, was that this shouldn't happen and you shouldn't fear for your life if you are in the position that somebody in government is in. Wild.
I don't think he actually meant like security. I think he meant because the reason why that happened was they were writing those mean things about me. So we're going to make sure they cannot write mean things anymore in the paper, because I believe newspapers are still consumed. And in the newspapers, they were saying such mean, really nasty, nasty things.
Oh, I'm just like so depressed now.
I'm
so sad.
When he wasn't president, I could do that impression infinitely.
Yeah.
Now that he's president again, it sucks away a little piece of me every time I do it.
Bums me out.
The better I get at it, the more I'm just like, how much is cyanide? What do you think? What's the price of that these days? Any thoughts on the executive orders, anything before we move on to pardons?
No.
Nothing surprising, honestly. Just really depressing, and I guess I was hoping to be pleasantly surprised at some of those things not happening day one, but they did. So,
Yeah.
My feedback is.
Yeah. She, for those who are listening and not watching, she did not make that sound with her mouth. Okay.
Oh my God.
We already mentioned the bulk of the pardons. Donald Trump has pardoned, I think I said 1,600. It's approximately 1,500 individuals connected to the January 6th attack. 14 prominent figures like Proud Boy leaders Enrique Tarrio, Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes. They have commuted sentences, even though they were convicted of seditious conspiracy. And basically said it was terrible the way they were being treated. It was a grave national injustice, and sought reconciliation because they've already been in jail for a long time. That 2 to 3 years, that's enough jail time to make sure they're like, I'm never going to try to overthrow the government again.
And then to get rewarded with a pardon.
Yes.
Way to make these people feel fucking invincible. And I would like to know if the people who are so sure that Trump had nothing to do with January 6th. He didn't tell them to do that. No, absolutely not. I would like to know their thoughts on those people being pardoned.
Right. Why does he have their backs then?
Why does he feel like he needs to do that? Does he feel responsible for that?
If he was totally devoid of it, that should mean he recognized how horrible a day that was and what a stain on our history that will be. I hope. That's presuming the fascists don't win and are writing the history books. I hope it is a stain, but it might just be a cum stain of Trump's, because I think that's the kind of stuff that makes him come.
Ew,
anyway,
that's really
I'm just
disgusting.
kidding. I think he closes his eyes and thinks of himself jerking off.
That's also disgusting.
I know. I'm going to get emails and they're going to be like, Jimmy, it is not okay what you say to those women, what you subject them to. You should see our group chats. No, you shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't. It's privileged information.
My nipples. Ross Ulbricht also received a pardon. He was the founder of a dark web marketplace that people were literally using to money launder, drug traffic, and do computer hacking stuff. And definitely criminal, and was pardoned. But the one that is real funny, just hilarious. Are you guys ready to laugh? This is going to be a chuckle. Terrence Sutton and Andrew Zabowski, who were 2 Washington, D.C. police officers convicted in murdering a black person who was in their custody. What a chuckle. Fuck this guy.
Fuck this guy.
Why is he president again?
Fuck this
guy.
Why?
I can't do it. I can't we have to. But I can't also.
Did you see somebody, some reporter confronted him? They asked him, they said, do you believe that it's ever okay to assault a police officer? I don't remember the exact way that he said it. And Trump said, no, of course, that's never okay. And he goes, well, then why did you just commute the sentence of one of the guys that did assault a police officer? And he goes, he literally said, well, I don't know. We'll look into it. He doesn't even know what he's doing or why which is terrifying.
That's a good point, though. So the reason why he doesn't know is all of these executive orders and all of these pardons were created by the guy who created Project 2025, aka
right.
This is Project 2025. People were like, we don't even know what it is. We don't know. Project 2025 is what's happening right now. And it's just the beginning. I watched his speech at the World Economic Forum today. The next 4 years are going to be fucking bleak. And I hope the damage is irreversible. If it is irreversible, we're literally going to need a radical moment. We need someone as cool as Obama to have a story, to have a position as cool as Bernie's. It's going to take at least that big of a change. And the worst part is we could do it. If you would just fucking say, guys, I don't care if you use slurs. I don't care if you do this. I don't care if you do that. What I'm here to tell you is I'm going to give you health care. I'm going to give you a raised minimum wage. I'm going to make sure profit sharing makes its way back in some way for all these. There is billions and billions and billions of dollars of security for your family that people are locking in their vaults and not letting you have. And I'm going to unlock the vaults, and I'm going to say there is a limit to how much you get to keep of this country's money, because it isn't your money. It's their money. Anyway, neither of you were looking when I was doing all of that. So I was like, oh my God, my rant is putting people to sleep. This is devastating.
I'm listening.
I'm teasing. I'm not. It really hurt my feelings.
Oh my God, no, I am listening.
As a narcissist, I don't have any feelings.
Oh, good.
And I just want you to be looking at me.
I'm looking.
I forgot what I was saying. I actually forgot.
You're so good at making things bad for yourself.
I know. Who gives a fuck? At this point, if they're gonna be mad at me, let it be me who makes them mad. At least it's words Taylor I'm actually saying.
They're going to crucify you anyways. So,
ooh, look what you made me do. Look what you made me do.
Do we have a Swiftie in the house?
Look what you made me. No, maybe. I haven't heard her new album. I don't dislike her at all. I just don't really listen to songs with female singers. That is a joke. That is 1,000% a joke. Not only am I dating a musician, it is more than half of my music actually leads. If anything, it's the opposite. I tend not to listen to guys unless they kind of sound like girls, like Panic at the Disco.
Ooh, I love Panic at the Disco.
Isn't he just beautiful too?
Brendan Urie is lovely. Oh yeah, and gorgeous.
But anyway, whatever point you made, that was a good point, and then I ranted, but I actually lost the whole thing. I don't remember at all what I was saying.
Good.
Who knows?
You're like, it was awful.
Next segment.
We're actually going to take another break, but when we come back, do neither of you remember what I was saying? I'm like freaking out at how much I just forgot.
It was really good. You had just wrapped it up, so it was great.
And also, it's getting to be so like this whole list is so depressing that like it's hard to stay present in it. I'll be honest, it is. It's hard because it's sad.
Alyssa's being honest, at least.
It's so hard.
It hurts.
It hurts.
But if you say it's so hard 6 more times, we might get a couple more patrons.
So hard.
Oh my God! I love you so much.
Demonetized.
Can you slowly count down from 10 in a breathy voice? Oh, sorry.
Would you like to be one of the cool people who can prove they were supporting this podcast right from the beginning? Well, you can. Head over to linemerch.com. That's linemerch.com and pick up some founders merch for The Line Has a Podcast that will only be available for a short time and features the rough draft drawn logo that soon will be updated to look less like it was drawn by a 3-year-old. That's linemerch.com.
All right, we're back from the break, and I think Promise is going to be the most excited to talk about our next story. Promise, you might even want to pull up the quotes and just read them off. I'll give you some time to vamp, but basically there was this pastor. I will give you time by vamping is what I meant. There is this pastor who the day after the inauguration, J.D. Vance and Donald Trump attended the church to be seen doing churchy things and immediately were filled with regret. And let's be honest, it's because they went to a church with a woman for a pastor and it happened to be her church. They could have seen this coming. But the pastor basically said, hey guys, people are worried. Could you be cool, bros, about that? And I'll let Promise fill in because I know she was thinking about it a lot. What was actually said as soon as she's ready, which I'll know because
I'm ready.
Awesome. Go ahead.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. I was watching it. I think I was sitting at a restaurant. And I was like, wait a second, what the fuck is happening? Because it was fascinating. And Bishop, I don't know how to say her name. I wish I did. I think it's Bishop Budd. It's Budde. But she said, millions have put their trust in you. As you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in both Democratic, Republican, and independent families who fear for their lives. She also went on to make a plea for immigrants. I mean, she covered a lot of things, but she was quoting scripture a lot, more colloquially. She didn't give exact references, but the whole time I was thinking, oh, this was the part of the gospel that kept me a Christian for as long as I was one. This was the good stuff where she didn't say, stop doing this, stop doing that. The plead was for some empathy. Like, can you just have some empathy for these people? She didn't specify how what that should look like. It was just, can you keep them in your heart, basically? And the way she said it was so gracious and heartfelt and soft. I remember thinking, she's really using this moment to be quietly powerful. It was really cool.
Yeah.
It is funny to see their families around them and JD all looking to each other to try and figure out how they're going to react to it. Like JD puts on his stank face. Donald Trump, you can't tell if he's doing his stank face because it's just kind of the face. It's his always face.
But it was funny to see them looking around. It felt like when you get in trouble at school and they were like,
but nobody could do anything about it. That was my favorite part.
Yeah, it had to just go.
But what's wild is that Trump, of course, went on to say that she had a nasty tone. She's a supposed bishop. That was a perfect moment for him to just say... She should apologize.
Well, he demanded an apology to the nation for what she said.
Crazy. Insane. Because all that they had to do was say, yeah, that was really cool. Of course, we have empathy. We feel for those people, and that's not who we're going after. We're only going after the bad guys. That's all they had to say. They could have just said it was lovely. We appreciate the idea of being empathetic towards your neighbor. That's a great message. Right. And they made it what it was. They made it bad by reacting the way that they did. It could have been a moment to kind of, the rest of us would have had to shut up for a second if they had agreed with it, you know? Mm-hmm.
Trump said basically like, well, she failed to mention how many of these immigrants are committing crimes and murdering people. And the way he said it, the way he puts it out, is trying to almost act as though more of the immigrants, not a tiny, tiny minority of them, more of the immigrants, most of them are doing those crimes. Most of them. But then you had, like, this is the party that claims to be the party of free speech. Mm-hmm.
Also,
and yet Representative Mike Collins wrote on Twitter, the person giving this sermon should be added to the deportation list.
Insane.
Oh, you guys love speech. You fucking love freedom of speech and separation of church and state.
Her exact quote, by the way, was, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. Is she not acknowledging in that statement that some are? Yeah. Right. And she's specifying that she's not talking about those ones. Right. She says they pay taxes, are good neighbors, they are faithful members of our churches, mosques, and synagogues. I mean, how they screwed that up so bad the way they reacted when they didn't need to go that direction. But of course they did, because that's what they do. They can't, they are terrified of actual Christ-like values, because it goes against their Christian nationalism, which is hilarious.
Yeah. And it's also like, I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but they say like all feedback is neutral. And so if this woman is giving you feedback, if anyone's giving you feedback and it lands with you, then maybe then there's something to look at. And in this circumstance, the way that they handled, if they were going to be merciful, then their response, then what that woman was saying would not have landed the way that it did. But they know that they're not going to be merciful, obviously, duh. Yeah. And so they had to have this very dramatic reaction. So it's like, if I'm not aiming for you, why do you feel like you're hit by the strays? Right. I'm confused. And
that's a good question.
You know?
Yeah. It's all very disappointing, and it's all just showing that they cannot take even the light. Literally, you're looking at a woman who's at a church giving a sermon. There's already something afoot. Right. Like something's amuck from their world in the first place. What were you expecting? That she was going to be like, thank you so much. And in Jesus' name, kill the queers, kill the immigrants, kill like, what did you think was going to happen? You're there in her church. And now you, the guy who has cheated on every wife you've ever had, sometimes while they're recouping from giving birth to your children, are going to sit there and question their godliness, their actual, and cause me, atheist boogaloo, whatever I am, to be sitting here defending like,
right,
girl,
defending
she
a
is
reverend.
much more Christian than you are, in every conceivable way. Unless we're talking about, well, even if he was a fundamentalist, he sucks by a fundamentalist standards too. He's like, he can't pull off progressive Christian or fundamentalist Christian or moderate Christian. The guy fucking sucks. He couldn't name his favorite verse of the Bible. Everybody knows. And by the way, it's almost all the same one. You know, that is very personal. That's what he said. I wouldn't want to get into it because that is very personal. Yeah, John 3:15 is what everyone fucking says, you idiot.
Do you mean John 3:16?
That's what I meant.
What is John 3:16?
That doesn't matter.
John 3:16.
At least I was only one verse off.
He gave his only forgotten son, that whosoever believeth in him will not perish but have everlasting life.
Look at this. Look at this.
I grew up
Red
Mormon.
Bull
The Book of
service
Mormon
that I just
scriptures
got.
are much more important.
Did you guys just see that?
That's amazing.
Why don't
Thank
we
you so
get that,
much.
Jimmy? Did you pay for somebody to deliver Alyssa a Red Bull?
A Red Bull? No, that would be I care about my friends, and I would not deliver that poison to them.
I actually agree. I cannot have energy drinks. I would die instantly.
I can't at all. I'm really sad about how young you're going to die.
I have to go out after this with the youth, so this is what we got.
Yeah.
You meant go out, like die.
But it's early in the morning. You already need it. It's coffee time, not Red Bull time.
That's why she's got Alyssa likes a Red Bull in the morning. That's what she does.
It said like you stayed up to do it because it's like 3 a.m. Everybody, we can try to get this podcast out early. That's clearly what happened.
I love this.
We're amazing for doing that.
Anyway, let's move on to tits.
Yeah.
This story is hilarious to me. I don't know if you all have seen it. Have you seen the absolute meltdown from the right over Lauren Sanchez's boobs at the inauguration?
Yes. I just started looking at it now because it's in here, and this is hilarious.
So funny. Megyn Kelly post a video meltdown about it. But the thing that I found the funniest, and we're not going to put the photos up. We're not going to we have to talk about the boobs. And, you know, sure, if you go to her Instagram, she's definitely not shy. She's wanting her beauty to be appreciated. This Lauren Sanchez, by the way, I think she might even be the fiance of Jeff Bezos.
She is.
And showed up to the inauguration with this sort of like suit top, but like a bra top under where you could see sort of above and below cleavage. And Megyn Kelly not having it really, really upset. But my favorite part of the story, my favorite fucking part of the story is that they acted like she, in response to the criticism, which she wouldn't have gotten in time, that by the time she went to the like inaugural ball that night, not to be confused by Zuckerberg's inaugural horny balls. I don't know if you all saw him taking a look, and literally there's a famous photo now of him looking right at her tits. Anyway, that somehow she had received the criticism and toned it down for the inaugural ball because of the criticism. Have you seen what she wore at the inaugural ball? It's in the outline if you want to go look at it. If not, go look it up.
Oh, yeah.
It's worse. It's not showing more boobs. Not directly, they're not exposed, but the top of her dress has this like corset seam sort of thing at the top.
I think it's hot. I love it.
Oh, it's hot. For the record,
incredible.
It's hot. It's very hot.
So good.
Right. She's still amongst the billionaires and not doing great things, and I consider her evil like the rest of them. But
but that's not a hot dress.
Yeah.
But the dress is hot, and like as far as the like top goes, I would describe the shape of the top around her bosom as a hooter hammock. Those sorts of things where it's you get
bosom and hooter hammock.
Hooter hammock. You're welcome. And the thing I was about to say after that, I will tell you after the show. I almost said it on air, and I would have gotten in so much trouble. But you'll find it hilarious. Nobody would have allowed it online. Anyway, it is shaped directly to her boobs is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's sort of like both a loose and shaped fabric to where you're like, oh, I know exactly what the shape her boobs are now.
For anyone listening that this might make sense for, it clearly has underwire. So it has underwire in the shape of like what underwire is in a bra.
Yeah, it's
and
that
then
trim.
the fabric,
It's like a W.
Yeah, but the fabric like drapes over her chest. It looks gorgeous.
It's
loosely
beautiful.
draped, but her boobs set into it.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's got a Roman vibe, kind of like Elon's hand gesture.
Yeah, but less fascist. Also, but then also, you probably can't see it from the picture I put in the outline. It has the dress part from the waist down is sheer and has a split all the way up of it. It is the most naked anyone has been at an inaugural ball, probably ever. Though I heard Jefferson threw some crazy ones back in the day. What do you say? I
feel like I've seen celebrities wear all kinds of stuff. That's why it's so funny to watch. Because the left does it so much, I really love when the right is just like eating itself alive. And so to watch Lauren Sanchez get shit for this was, I understand. I get, like, I wouldn't wear that to an inauguration. It doesn't, as far as the outfit that she wore to the ball one, I think is great. But the one that the white outfit, like, that was a lot of cleavage.
Yeah.
But also she was hot and whatever, that fits her style. It matches the kind of stuff that she wears. It's hilarious for people to give a fuck. I think it's funny that we get all these clips of Zuckerberg looking at her boobs. Of course he looked at her boobs. There would be a clip of me looking at her boobs too if I was there. So, you know, I can't even get mad at that.
Yeah. She promise would be in the bathroom with her trying to convince her to trade bras.
I also feel like, oh my God, I also feel like you're putting people who are not politicians into events like this. So from her perspective, she's not a politician. She's not the wife of a politician. Office. Oh my God, page 6 is making noise. She's not a politician. She's not the wife of a politician. So she can actually do whatever the fuck she wants. And if you have a problem with that, then maybe they should not be so close to our government.
Bro, I've seen the first lady's nipples. Calm the fuck down.
Right.
Maybe calm the fuck down.
Right.
Like, I think I've seen more, but I'm not positive. I'm trying to remember if I've seen her hoo-ha.
Yeah,
I've said fuck on this thing so many times, but apparently I'm afraid to say vagina.
Okay. Not
vagina.
Anymore.
Vagina or vulva?
Vulva. I've seen her vulva.
Yeah,
no,
you definitely haven't seen her vagina.
It was her vagina. She spread open to show her big pee hole.
Oh my God. Your pee hole is not your vagina.
I know that. That was the joke, Alyssa.
Well, we need to make sure that the people who are listening to this and don't know that are aware. They're different holes.
Think about, we just lost so many comments of people correcting me, though. We need clicks.
Yeah.
Every click and key adds to the algorithm.
You're right. It is all one hole.
Algorithm starts with the letter E.
It is all one hole. That's so gross.
It's all one.
Actually, just the whole body just uses one hole. That's it.
So what happened?
I'm scared.
Stop.
I'm not going to do it.
No.
I was going to make up a whole thing about
on the episode
period poop hybrids, and I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I think
disgusting.
that's smart. I think we leave it where it's at.
I think we don't.
Also, I'm aware that there are period bowel movements, but they aren't that. And so I just don't want to make light of it. That people have like IBS specifically on their periods.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to Lauren Sanchez's boobs.
I can't. I'm stuck.
Ugh.
I'm stuck in the vulva.
Stop thinking about period poop.
Just like when I was born with this giant head, I'm stuck in the vulva.
God. I think she looks like beautiful in that dress.
Hilarious.
I'm moving on. Okay. I think she looks beautiful in that dress. And if people want like politicians and people who are going to be wearing like a suit set, then maybe Jeff Bezos and his fucking wife shouldn't be there. Maybe they shouldn't be there.
They're just jealous because the men aren't brave enough to hang brain.
That's very possible.
Promise that's referring to the scrotum. It kind of looks like a brain when it's shriveled up. You looked confused.
Because it just was less funny and more
Look how big
weird.
my forehead is when I angle like this.
Oh my God. You look like
Can I point out something real quick?
Yes.
I thought I looked like the Grinch.
I was half right about what Melania wore. Because I did mean to specify that I thought she was going to wear white to the ball. Because Michelle wore white the original inauguration of Barack Obama. And I that was amazing. Everyone talked about it. They thought it was the greatest thing ever. Do you remember that? That was like a big deal, her dress. It was so beautiful. And I was like, well, she's not going to do it the first inauguration because then she'll be compared to Michelle because she keeps copying her speeches. But she fucking did it this time. Although it was technically had like a black sash. Why are you laughing, Jimmy, already? What are you thinking? You look like you're thinking something.
I was literally thinking about, I was thinking she looked like she was the villain in a new Terminator movie.
I thought she looked beautiful.
I think she looked like she probably couldn't move. Like
she
I don't
always
know.
looks like that.
I don't
That's
think
part
she
of her.
looked like a
She looks like a
Bond
Barbie.
villain.
You know those like.
And then I was thinking about the one
Yeah.
time I found Trump kind of funny and charming, but it was probably written for him. At a dinner, he was like, the left have totally double standards. Michelle Obama gives a speech and everybody loves it. Melania gives the exact speech, same speech, and everyone hated it.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, that was actually funny and charming.
There's a picture of him dancing with Melania, and he's like, he has one arm around her, and she has like her hand on his chest in a fist, which is a little crazy. Like, you obviously hate him. You won't even let your palm touch this man. That's crazy. And he has his arm out like this. And it just, every time I see pictures of him, I am filled from my fucking toes to my cuticles in my fingertips with just anger and hatred. Like, you are so corny, and I hate you.
Yeah, I think you're going to need to describe the arm movement because one, the framing of the episode,
Yeah,
but
I
two,
couldn't even see
podcasts
it.
are an audio
Right.
format.
So it's like a fist that's up. I don't know how else to
Yeah.
Yeah,
explain
he's
that.
doing his little fist pumping
Yeah.
dance move.
It's
His
like
hands
right when
are
you're
really
getting ready to do
small.
an autistic throwing your heart out to people.
Right before that moment.
Right
The
before.
moment before it.
Oh my
His hands
God.
are really small. Is that a thing? Have people
Tiny.
talked about that?
Yes,
Oh, Alyssa.
that's
Is it a
been talked
thing?
about a lot.
Oh,
for a long
Alyssa.
time. Yeah.
I assume it's like memed already because
There used to be a reporter
really
before
small.
he was president who would mention it in like, he had mentioned it once in an article, and Donald Trump would literally send for decades, I think it was like 10, 15 years, he would send to this reporter pictures of him from newspapers with his hands circled with things that's like, see, not so small.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
very
Marco
much a
Rubio said in 2016 to a crowd when he was running against Trump, he goes, plus he has the smallest hands. And you know what they say about guys with small
I
hands.
forgot that
you
happened.
can't trust them. And then Donald Trump at the next debate said, when Marco's trying to take his shots, little Marco, he said his hands are small. Something else must be small. I can guarantee you there's no problem. Donald Trump claimed to have a big penis at a Republican presidential debate.
Such a
that is the
fucking
country we live
loser.
in. We are fucking stupid. This country is so fucking stupid. Vote for your actual interests for once, you fucking morons. Anyway, a couple of other news stories before we go out. Just very, very quick. I wanted to know if either of you had heard it. Did you guys hear that everybody was attacking Ed Sheeran for going to a New Year's Eve party at J.K. Rowling's, but he never actually went to it?
No, but
No,
that's
do you want to know what I heard
Poor
about
Ed
Ed Sheeran?
Sheeran.
Somebody made an AI video of him leading worship, and Christians were spreading it and saying that Ed Sheeran got saved, but it was AI.
It was AI.
Yeah, so poor guy. He must have had a rough
I feel like he's
year
always
already.
having a rough go of it. Like, that people love to fuck around with Ed Sheeran.
I just think I think it kind of illustrates the left is demanding perfection, in that, especially when they're not even willing to fact check the stories, because he was getting like piled on for it, and he didn't even go to this party at all. And it was reported by like an actual journalist that he had. And so, guys, be fucking more careful. Stop trying to ruin people's lives.
Shame
Take
on
a
that
chance.
journalist. That's 1 million. Like, it's our job too as consumers of media, but also like the journalists should also have probably verified before they posted that and shared it.
Besides, like, what if something awesome had happened? I would go to, if I was invited, I would go. And then I would take, those like things they put to show which one's a man's bathroom, which one's a woman's bathroom, the signs. I put the man's bathroom on all of her bathrooms in her house. And then I put tampons in the bathroom.
Oh my God.
And then
Amazing.
I would create a big stink. I'd make video. I'd be like, J.K. Rowling is a hypocrite. Look at all of these tampons in the men's bathrooms. Anyway, another little news thing people might want to be aware of. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll probably talk about it more next time. The ceasefire deal is going great because now instead of just attacking people in Gaza, apparently a bunch of violence has broken out in the West Bank, and you are having dozens of Gazans hurt, several people killed, and there were they're calling them settlers. Two Israeli were arrested, even though dozens of armed settlers were involved in the riots. I think you mean occupiers, but whatever. So that's a whole fucking awesome thing that's going on. And then the last little bit of news that I wanted to share, and it doesn't matter, and this is nothing, but I felt like you two might have something interesting to say after.
Okay.
Did you know that the national lottery rules have changed and laws have changed to accommodate the ability that if you win a lottery, you like say using an app or something, it used to be capped at like $500. Oh, this might not be in America. I just realized.
Yeah, I see pounds.
Yeah. All right. It's going to be in England. I was like, this is so exciting, but it doesn't even apply to us. 50,000 now in England, you can get up to 50,000 pounds directly to your bank the next day without going. And I was just going to ask what I think asking a person what they would do with $1 million or $1 billion is so boring because you basically would just say everything you could think of until you run out. But if you say $50,000, you actually have priorities of like, I would do this, I would do this.
But whose answer, like the answer is still boring because the first thing most people, not everybody, obviously, most people are going to be pay off my debt.
Yeah.
That's about all I would do.
Yeah. And then after that, it's like I have some left over, but not enough to make a big stink over.
All right. So let's say 25,000 goes to debt and you're required to spend the $25,000 to expand your life in some way. So 25 grand. Alyssa, what would you do with it?
Do you want to know something really sad? The first thing I thought of was I would get like all new underwear and all new socks.
That's dope. But now you have $24,500 at least left. Like, even if you try hard, you're not going to spend more than $500. Underwear is like 3 inches of fucking fabric. I know what y'all wear.
Yeah.
That sounded more aggressive than I meant it to be. I just meant that women's underwear is not made with much fabric.
I think, okay, $25,000. You can't even get a car with that. Like, I don't know.
No, I know.
Maybe what I would do, what I would do actually is plan a family vacation. Like, I would take my family on vacation.
Aww,
see, I'd buy a Trump meme coin. I'm just kidding.
Oh, God.
Or
no
the smart
crypto.
answer.
You're not allowed to crypto.
The smart answer would be invest.
Not allowed to invest.
Yeah.
Not allowed.
Okay.
Then,
I would take my family on vacation.
Big vacation.
Big vacation.
Yeah. Actually, these days, medium vacation.
Right, medium vacation.
Oh, what? You could do a boat vacation to the Gulf of America.
I've always wanted to visit.
Gulf of America.
I heard it's lovely. I'd want to take everyone to like Bali.
It's actually not, by the way. Like, here's the, I'm actually okay with us calling it the Gulf of America because it looks like a muddy sack of shit. Like, I've been to it several places, Texas, Florida, Louisiana. Like, I've been to the Gulf many times. The Gulf looks like fucking shit.
What are you talking about? Hold on. No, it doesn't. I grew up going, and I just was there for a month.
Brown.
It's beautiful.
It looks like poop water.
What are you talking about? It's white sandy beaches and blue water. 30A.
Where?
Everyone's going to back me up in the comments. This is great. 30A. It's stunning.
You
there.
went to where the rich people get to go and they push all of their poop into the poor people's apparently because it is every time I've gone to the Gulf, it has looked like poop water. Every time.
When are you going? What time of year?
I don't know. I haven't been in. I stopped by it a few years ago when I was in Houston, so that would have been around the fall. And then when I was a kid, we went all the time. Yeah, looked like poop.
I'm gonna. Well, I already invited you last time, and you didn't come visit me. So this is your own fault.
I thought you were inviting me to go and wash in a septic tank.
No, it's beautiful.
No, it's not my own fault.
Everybody, please defend me in the comments.
You literally know why I didn't go, and you're saying it's my fault.
Yeah,
now I'm gonna make you feel terribly guilty.
You can't correct me on here.
Yeah. Wait, I have health issues.
Please don't.
I don't leave my house. I eat 3 foods. You think I'm happy?
Oh my God.
And then I got this person.
Now you're making me feel bad.
I know. It's easy though. I want to talk about our friendship after this show. I promise. Just get like a
now I want to die.
I'm just kidding.
It's the worst thing you could ever say to me.
You would just have to be like, I just have to beat him to it. I'll break his heart before he breaks mine.
That's so sad.
No, it'll never happen. We're friends till the very end.
Okay, good.
We will.
Hopefully that's soon.
I was gonna say we will die in the same fire started from the excessive oil drilling and climate change together.
Yep.
Oh,
the 4 of us.
Yes.
Holding hands.
Quiet. I thought Alyssa was about to say something.
Holding hands.
The fourth person is downstairs. Actually, so let's bring Yuka into the mix. That's number 5. Let's bring Arden and Matt. They can come. I feel like Forrest, I would invite him, but he'll like be, oh, sorry, I'm dying out here in the Galapagos because I got another trip out here.
Dying in the Galapagos.
I'm dying over in the Glaps. He calls him the Glaps for short, just so everybody knows. That's how insufferable he is. I made that up. I called it the Glaps.
He's going to now.
God.
The good news is we don't have to worry about him finding out I said that because he's never going to listen to this podcast. Promise, what would you do with your 25? You have to spend 25 on yourself. Oh,
I would get a new computer, a new camera set up so that I have a better, like I would redo the guest room that I currently use because I'm house sitting right now. This isn't even my setup and it's a better setup than I have at the house that I currently live in. I would do that and I would, I don't know. Build a little cabin in the countryside on my in-laws' property, assuming they would allow this, which I think they would because it's like a family thing because I could do it for really cheap and then we would have our own little cabin instead of stealing theirs.
And then you would never come back.
Yep.
Not even going to deny it.
That's the plan.
Yep.
Does anyone want to know mine? It's really boring.
I was about to ask you.
I would buy a good 3 horsepower joiner planer combo, which is for wood. That's going to be about 6,000. So I've got 19 left. So then I would buy the new Canon R5C Gen 2, which I think is around $4,000 right now. And with that, I would buy a 24 to 70 L series lens, and I would buy a 15 to 35 because I would only need those because I'm only going to use that for video. So that's probably like between all 3, I'm guessing that's about $10,000. So I've got like 9,000 left. And so I'd probably build 2 more production computers. I would build 2 more high-end computers to run stuff.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Love it.
Yeah, basically all work stuff. Because when spending on myself literally means spending on work because I'll be less stressed about work stuff. Yeah. Plus I want to make documentaries in the future and these are good cameras. My camera, I changed which camera I'm using to my first gen Canon 5RC, which is what I'm speaking to you on right now. And I look so sharp and beautiful now, but apparently my audio was fucked up in the last episode. Hopefully it's better this time. We'll find out. People were like, he sounds like he's calling in from the phone.
That's weird. I listened to it. I thought you were fine.
I thought it sounded pretty okay, but I guess maybe it's compared to what I usually sound like on the line. We'll find out. We'll see what happens when I fuck with the editing this time. At least I won't be so tired this time. Last time I was so tired and dying to get to bed. What are your final thoughts? People just say things until you hear the thing go.
I don't have any final thoughts. I feel bummed out today. All of that made me really sad.
I hope these are my literal final thoughts.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I have no thoughts. They've been drained from my soul.
Yeah.
Also, I went out after watching the inauguration. Was I?
No, it's still going.
Oh, it's still going. I went out after the inauguration to go get a beer after watching it and being like so sad all morning. And I go sit at the bar. Of course, I should have known this. I'm in Tennessee. The lady's wearing a hot pink shirt with Donald Trump with the White House behind him. And it says Daddy's home. And I was just like, can someone get me out of here, please? So, yeah.
Perfect timing. The Line is a podcast. Follow us on YouTube, please.
That's crazy.